A single father. A forgotten war. And a tattoo that made a decorated general stop breathing. What secret could make a veteran's scar so terrifying? The rain came down in silver sheets over the parking lot of Fort Valor. Nathan Hale stood beside his old truck, the hood dented, the paint faded like his memory of war. He adjusted his sleeve, hiding the scars that ran like broken rivers down his arm. A few soldiers nearby laughed under the shelter of the gate. Their voices were sharp, too loud against the rain. "Look at him," one whispered, "the old guy who thinks he is still a hero." Nathan said nothing. He lifted his daughter from the back seat, her tiny hand gripping his calloused fingers. Her pink raincoat gleamed under the gray sky. They walked toward the base hall, the sound of her boots splashing beside his. The laughter followed. It burned worse than the scars ever had. Inside, the air smelled of coffee and wet uniforms. Men and women in crisp attire filled the room, medals glinting like small suns. Nathan kept his head low. He was here to deliver paperwork, nothing more. Then the doors opened. Silence rippled through the hall. A woman stepped in, tall, poised, her uniform marked with stars of command. General Adrian Locke. Her eyes scanned the crowd like radar, calm yet piercing. When they landed on Nathan, she froze. The room seemed to tighten around them. Nathan felt the weight of every stare shift toward him. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She stepped closer, her boots striking the floor in measured beats. Nathan's heart hammered with each one. She stopped a few feet away. "Where did you serve?" she asked, her voice low, almost unsteady. He met her gaze. "Falcon Unit," he said. The words fell heavy. Her pupils widened. Her hand trembled as she reached toward his sleeve. "Show me," she whispered. Nathan hesitated, then rolled it up. The old ink was there, faded but clear. The winged falcon clutching a lightning bolt. Her face turned pale. Every soldier in the room watched in silence. The general's throat tightened as she traced the edges of the tattoo with her eyes. "That unit," she breathed, "was wiped out, years ago." Nathan's jaw clenched. "Not all of us." The rain outside grew louder, like static against the windows. Her composure cracked for the briefest moment. He could see something flicker behind her eyes, recognition, guilt, maybe fear. "Nathan Hale," she said quietly. He nodded. Her voice faltered. "I read your file. They said you were." She stopped herself. The room waited. The laughter from earlier was gone now, swallowed by the weight in the air. Nathan felt the silence press on his skin, tighter than his uniform. "What did they say?" he asked. The general exhaled, her gaze drifting to the scars along his arm. "That you never came back from that mission." Nathan's daughter tugged at his hand, confused by the tension. He looked at her, then back at the woman who once signed the orders that sent his team into the storm. Her eyes glistened as if haunted by ghosts only she could see. He stepped closer. "Maybe I should not have." The general swallowed hard, her fingers curling at her side. The soldiers around them shifted uneasily, unsure whether to salute or step back. Nathan's voice grew quieter. "But I did. And I remember everything." A flicker of lightning flashed through the tall windows, illuminating the insignia on her chest. Her breath hitched. He saw it, the faint outline of the same falcon tattoo, hidden beneath her sleeve. Nathan froze. His pulse pounded in his ears. For a moment, neither spoke. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. And in that charged silence, he realized, she had not just known his unit. She had been part of it. And she had lied. The general's face tightened as if she had been waiting years for this moment to return. Her next words came slow, deliberate. "You were never meant to see me again, Sergeant Hale." Nathan's grip on his daughter's hand tightened. He could feel the tremor in her small fingers. The soldiers nearest them shifted, glancing at one another in confusion. Rain streaked down the windows, blurring the world outside into gray. Nathan took a breath. You gave the command, he said. Her eyes flinched, just slightly. And you left us there. The general's expression hardened. I had my orders. Nathan stepped closer, the space between them shrinking until only the rain filled the silence. Who gave them? Her voice was nearly a whisper now. You would not believe me if I told you. Try me, Nathan said. Her gaze drifted to the soldiers still watching. Then she looked back at him, lowering her tone. It was not from this base. Nathan's heartbeat slowed. Then where? She hesitated, glancing at the tattoo on his arm again as if it might start to move. From the same place that marked you. Nathan felt the air grow colder. What are you saying? Her eyes met his, and in them he saw the weight of something vast and hidden. I am saying, she whispered, Falcon unit was not destroyed. It was erased. The room darkened as thunder rolled outside. Nathan stood still, his breath shallow. The faces around him blurred. Only the general remained clear, her gaze locked on his, unblinking, haunted, and afraid. And for the first time since he had come home, Nathan realized he was not the only survivor. He was the only one who remembered. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. The air in the hall felt heavier now, as though the walls themselves were listening. The general took a slow step back, her boots echoing across the polished floor. Her eyes darted to the doors, to the corners of the room, then back to him. Not here, she murmured. Her voice trembled, though she tried to hide it. Nathan shifted, shielding his daughter behind him without even thinking. He felt the old instinct rise, the one that came before ambushes, before chaos. Every sound sharpened. A light flickered above. Someone coughed. A radio buzzed near the wall. And then, silence again. The general gestured subtly toward a side corridor. Follow me. Quietly. Nathan hesitated. The soldiers watching exchanged uncertain looks, unsure if this was protocol or madness. But something in her tone, something in the way her eyes refused to leave his, told him this was not a request. He took his daughter's hand and followed. The hallway stretched long and narrow, lined with old photographs and flags dulled by time. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. Their footsteps echoed like distant gunfire. When they reached the far end, the general stopped beside a steel door marked restricted access. She keyed a code into the panel. The lock clicked, and a gust of cold, recycled air drifted out. Inside was a dim room lit by a single blue monitor. Nathan stepped in, his senses tightening with each breath. The walls were lined with classified files, each stamped with red ink, confidential, Falcon operations. He froze. His heartbeat thudded against his ribs. You said it was erased, he said. The general nodded slowly. Erased from history. But not from here. She moved to a metal cabinet and pulled open the top drawer. Inside lay a stack of sealed envelopes, each bearing a familiar insignia. The Falcon. Nathan's eyes darkened. Who kept these? Her hand shook slightly as she reached for one. I did. Because I needed proof that we were not insane. She handed him a file. His name was printed across the top. Nathan Hale, Sergeant, Falcon Unit, Classified Operation 7H23. He flipped it open. Inside were photographs. Old ones. Images of his squad. Faces he had not seen in years. Faces he had buried in his nightmares. But one photo stopped him cold. It was taken days before the mission, a briefing room, a map on the wall. And there she was. General Adrian Locke, in uniform, but not as a general. She wore the same patch he did. The same rank. The same look of fierce determination. You were there, Nathan whispered. Yes, she said. And when everything went wrong, I was pulled out. You were left behind. Nathan's jaw tightened. The memory hit him like a blast, the noise, the fire, the screaming through smoke. And the last voice he heard before the radio went dead. Her voice. His pulse thundered. You called the strike, he said. Her lips pressed into a line. I had no choice. Nathan slammed the folder shut. There is always a choice. Her eyes glistened under the cold blue light. You do not understand what Falcon Unit was meant for, she said. Nathan stepped closer. Then explain it. Her hand moved to the monitor, typing a code only she seemed to know. The screen flickered, revealing a map, not of a battlefield, but of a continent. Red zones blinked across it, patterns of strange coordinates. Each was marked with the same insignia. The Falcon. Nathan frowned. What is this? Her voice was barely above a whisper. It was never about the enemy we fought. It was about what we found. The monitor crackled again. A blurred image appeared, a dark crater, a figure standing at its edge, surrounded by shadows that seemed to move. Nathan's stomach twisted. That is not possible. It was real, she said. And whatever it was, it followed us home. A sudden thud came from outside the door. Both froze. Another sound, closer this time. A slow scrape, like metal against concrete. Nathan's daughter clung to his leg, trembling. The general turned off the monitor. Her eyes met his. They know you are alive. Nathan's blood ran cold. Who? She took a breath. Not who. What? The lights flickered again. And for a brief moment, Nathan swore he saw a shadow move across the glass, tall, thin, and wrong. The sound came again, heavier now, closer. The general stepped back, her hand on the holster at her side. Nathan pushed his daughter behind the desk, his body tense. The door rattled. Then the steel began to bend. Not from force, but as if something was melting it from the other side. The air grew hot, humming with a low vibration that made his teeth ache. The general raised her weapon. Nathan's pulse thundered. And when the door finally gave way, what stepped through was not human. The door sagged open, its metal edges glowing faintly red. Smoke curled through the gap, carrying the smell of burned oil and ozone. Nathan's daughter whimpered softly, her small fingers gripping his pant leg. The thing that stepped through did not walk, it glided. Its shape flickered, like a projection struggling to stay in focus. For a heartbeat, it seemed almost human, tall, lean, wearing the faint outline of a uniform. Then the illusion shattered. Its limbs stretched too far, its face folding in on itself, smooth and featureless except for the faint shimmer where eyes should have been. Nathan's breath came short. The air grew heavy, charged with a sound like distant static. The general aimed her weapon. Stay back, she shouted, her voice echoing against the steel walls. The creature paused. It tilted its head, as if studying her. Then a low hum rippled from its chest, a vibration that sank into Nathan's bones. The lights dimmed. For a second, he heard voices, dozens of them, whispering over one another. Some he recognized. Names. Calls from the radio. The voices of his old unit. He felt a shiver crawl up his spine. The general's hand shook on the trigger. It is them, she whispered. Nathan turned sharply. What do you mean, them? Her voice was hoarse. Falcon Unit. Or what is left of it. The creature stepped forward. The floor hissed where its feet touched. Nathan's daughter hit her face against his knee, trembling. He wanted to run. He wanted to cover her eyes and break through the wall if he had to. But something in that humming sound rooted him in place. The creature stopped a few feet away. Its shimmering head turned toward him. The whispers grew louder. One voice pushed through the noise, deep, steady, familiar. Sergeant Hale, it said. Nathan's breath caught. He knew that voice. Jackson? The shape twitched, the surface of its skin rippling like water. Left behind, the voice said. Left in the dark. Nathan's heart twisted. He saw flashes, men screaming, fire raining down, the static cutting through the comms. And now, here they were. The general took a step forward, her weapon still raised. Falcon unit was compromised, she said. They were exposed to something we did not understand. We were told to contain it. Nathan stared at her. You contained them. Her silence was answer enough. The creature's voice deepened, distorted by the hum. You promised to bring us home. The lights flickered again, shadows stretching across the walls like claws. Nathan moved in front of his daughter, his every nerve on fire. Tell me what you did, he said to the general. She met his gaze, her face pale, her voice almost a whisper. Nathan turned sharply. What do you mean, them? Her voice was hoarse. Falcon unit. Or what is left of it? The creature stepped forward. The floor hissed where its feet touched. Nathan's daughter hit her face against his knee, trembling. He wanted to run. He wanted to cover her eyes and break through the wall if he had to. But something in that humming sound rooted him in place. The creature stopped a few feet away. Its shimmering head turned toward him. The whispers grew louder. One voice pushed through the noise, deep, steady, familiar. Sergeant Hale, it said. Nathan's breath caught. He knew that voice. Jackson? The shape twitched, the surface of its skin rippling like water. Left behind, the voice said. Left in the dark. Nathan's heart twisted. He saw flashes, men screaming, fire raining down, the static cutting through the comms. And now, here they were. The general took a step forward, her weapon still raised. Falcon unit was compromised, she said. They were exposed to something we did not understand. We were told to contain it. Nathan stared at her. You contained them. Her silence was answer enough. The creature's voice deepened, distorted by the hum. You promised to bring us home. The lights flickered again, shadows stretching across the walls like claws. Nathan moved in front of his daughter, his every nerve on fire. Tell me what you did, he said to the general. She met his gaze, her face pale, her voice almost a whisper. We opened something we could not close. The air around the creature began to distort, the temperature dropping fast. Frost crawled up the steel door, spreading like veins. Nathan's breath turned to mist. He could feel the pull, a strange pressure behind his eyes, like gravity itself was bending. The general steadied her stance. Get the child out, she said. No, Nathan replied. Her eyes flashed. That is an order, Sergeant. He looked down at his daughter, then back at the figure that had once been his brother in arms. The whispers rose again, louder, sharper, spilling into the room like a tide. The general fired. The shot cracked like thunder. The bullet tore through the thing's chest, but instead of blood, light poured out. It screamed, not in pain, but in a sound that rattled the walls, a chorus of voices crying all at once. The room shook. Files flew from the cabinets, papers whirling in the cold air. The blue monitor shattered. Nathan grabbed his daughter and dropped to the floor as the ceiling lights burst overhead. The general reloaded, but her hands trembled. The creature's form flickered, its outline dissolving into black smoke and light. And through the chaos, Nathan heard one last whisper, clear, direct, inside his mind. Find the other mark. Then the light vanished. The door slammed shut with a violent crash. Silence. Only the sound of dripping water somewhere in the dark. The general's weapon clattered to the floor. She sank to her knees, breathing hard. Nathan stood slowly, holding his daughter close. What did it mean? He asked. The general stared at the ruined door, her face drained of color. There is another, she said. Her voice trembled now, like she was speaking through a memory. Another survivor. Nathan's pulse quickened. Who? She looked up at him, and in her eyes was something close to fear. Not who, she said softly. Where? From somewhere deep within the facility, a low rumble began, mechanical, steady, growing louder. The floor vibrated beneath them. And in the distance, alarms began to wail. The alarms wailed in jagged bursts, red lights strobing across the metal walls. Nathan tightened his grip on his daughter. The general rose unsteadily to her feet, eyes fixed on the far corridor where the sound was coming from. The rumble deepened, a mechanical growl echoing from the base's foundation. Something was powering up. "What did you activate?" Nathan shouted over the noise. The general shook her head. "Not me," she said. Her gaze darted toward the ceiling vents, then to the floor where faint vibrations pulsed through the steel plates. "It is the containment wing." Nathan felt a chill run through him. "You said that was sealed years ago." "It was," she said, "until they knew you were alive." The lights flickered again. A gust of hot air burst from the vents, carrying the smell of dust and burnt copper. His daughter coughed, burying her face against his chest. Nathan looked down the hall, shadows slicing through the flashing red. "Where is the exit?" The general hesitated. "We will not make it to the surface in time." "Then where?" She looked toward the far door marked Storage C4. "There is an old access shaft through there," she said. "It leads to the lower tunnels. If we move fast." A loud crash cut her off. Metal screamed somewhere behind them. The hallway lights shattered in a chain of sparks. Nathan could hear the steel bending again, the same sickening groan from before. The general grabbed his arm. "Go." They ran. The hall stretched long and blinding under the red strobes, every flash freezing them in mid-stride like a stuttering film. Nathan's daughter clung to his neck, her breath hot against his skin. Behind them, the sound followed, a dragging, twisting echo that did not belong to anything human. The general keyed the panel at the end of the hall. The door to C4 hissed open, releasing a gust of cold air. Inside, the room was dark and empty except for old crates and a grated floor. Nathan set his daughter down gently. The general moved quickly to a metal hatch in the corner. She wrenched it open, revealing a narrow shaft that disappeared into blackness. The smell of damp concrete rose from below. "Climb," she said. Nathan lowered his daughter into the shaft and followed. The general came last, sealing the hatch above them. The alarms grew distant, muffled by layers of metal. The shaft walls were slick with condensation, cold against Nathan's hands as he climbed. The sound of their boots echoed like hollow heartbeats. After what felt like minutes, the tunnel widened into an old service corridor. It was low and narrow, lined with rusted pipes and flickering emergency lights. Nathan helped his daughter down. The general landed behind him, breathing hard. "Keep moving," she said. Nathan looked back the way they came. No sound. Just the echo of dripping water. He turned forward. The tunnel bent left, then opened into a chamber filled with half-submerged crates. On the far wall, a faded insignia was painted in flaking white. A falcon. Nathan stopped. His stomach turned cold. The general's face tightened when she saw it. "This place was decommissioned," she whispered. Nathan stepped closer. The paint had worn away, but something new was etched into the wall beneath it, symbols carved deep into the concrete. They glowed faintly blue. His daughter pointed. "Daddy, it is moving." The carvings pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The general stepped forward, her voice trembling. "They buried it down here." "Buried what?" Nathan asked. Her eyes met his. "The source." The air grew colder, thick with static that raised the hairs on his arms. The water in the chamber rippled outward in slow, perfect rings. Nathan could feel it again, that same vibration from the creature upstairs, but stronger now, closer. Something stirred beneath the surface of the dark water. A faint shimmer. Then another. Shapes moving just below the rippling line. His daughter pressed herself against him. The general took a step back.